Oh, this episode of Cinema Swirl is brought to you with the support of our backers over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl. $5 OTP backers get instant access to our monthly Patreon exclusive bonus show, Cinema Swirl, where Kevin and I review bad movies. And this month, in fact, right now on the Patreon, we've got the perfect companion for Saving Private Ryan. That's right, it's Keith Lemon the film. If you don't know what that is, congratulations. If you do know what that is, you'll know that it's a real stinker and we have a great time talking about it. Head on over to patreon.com/cinemaswirl to find out more. All right, let's get swirling.
Cinema Swirl! When I was emigrating, my father simply said to me, "Fun son go." It's episode number 110, coming to you from the coffin ship of Hollywood, California, heading down the ocean of movies to look at all the amazing aquatic movies. They're not aquatic. With my OTP, Sam Chaplin. I'm Kevin Mann. How are you doing today, Sam?
Fun Son Go. I mean, I'm doing great now. I've heard Fun Son Go. 110.
He recognised my talents for what they were, but he knew it was time for me to spread my wings. And the older generation can have difficulty sometimes in expressing that, so monosyllabic.
Son Go.
Monosyllabic is what happened there. That's something you go into too many syllables, it gets confusing. Sam, today we're invoking my father because we're doing pretty much a dad movie special. It's time for a bit of war.
War, huh? Good God.
Goodness.
What's it good? What is it good for?
The military-industrial complex.
Sure.
Big fan of war. A lot of jobs there.
Yeah.
Lot of jobs there.
Yeah.
So that's one. We got independence over in Ireland.
Yeah.
Little bit of a war. Funnily enough, that caused another war.
Right.
So what was that good for? Absolutely all sorts. Say it again. This was essentially a poll when we had 3 movies put up and we were simply asking ye, the Cinema Swirl fan base, the age-old question. The question they ask at the UN every month. Which war is best?
And you know what? Regardless of who won, I think war won in the end. This is a pro-war podcast.
You know, as Ron Perlman famously said in the Fallout games, war. Sure, there's always war, isn't there? One shape or another, so there is. War always wins. That's what he's always saying in those games.
Yes, but in this case, Saving Private Ryan won, but it was up against, the Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker, the Barack Obama war movie.
Apocalypse Now.
Came out in 2008. And Apocalypse Now,
Yes.
Jimmy Carter war movie. I thought Apocalypse Now, being quite the gilded lily of Hollywood royalty, kind of thought that it would sail to an easy victory in this one, but it was not necessarily tough nor tight at the top.
Turns out Apocalypse Later is what people have said to us.
Okay.
Look, it was a 2-horse race between the film that won and Apocalypse Now, but ultimately Saving Private Ryan had a decently, not a massive, it's not a landslide, but it's Saving Private Ryan.
Sam, what war is your favourite?
I think the war on drugs, probably. I think
yeah.
That's my
think because all these other wars, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's kind of like a long-running manga, isn't it? The war on drugs. There's no real end in sight, is there?
No, and the idea of a sort of drug army is quite appealing to me. I like that as a visual image. That's pretty cool.
Oh, and the drug dealers, they're like generals.
Weapons.
The generals.
Yes, they're the generals.
The weapons would be the needles they put the drugs in.
Yeah.
And the suppliers, they're like the field marshals of the war on drugs. And even though many of the cast may be on drugs, we're only speculating, there is not a drug to be seen in the muddy trenches of World War II.
Yes. Second World War. What's your favourite war, by the way? Have you got a favourite?
I know I did just say it kind of led on to a civil war, but gotta love a little bit of an Easter Rising, you know.
Sure,
gotta love
yeah,
a little bit of, you know, getting the British out, hunkering down in the biscuit factory, you know, ruining the front of the post office. Never forget. No. And that was good, you know. St. Patrick chased the snakes out of Ireland, but there were a few figurative snakes left, weren't there?
Is that the British?
The British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mostly the English.
Mostly the English, though. Okay. Mostly the English. You can't hide behind Britain forever, England.
No.
Tempering your own evil.
But today, it's World War II, the second of the World Wars, the sequel to World War One.
Is that all of England's favourite war? Is that me misreading?
Yeah.
You've got a fondness for World War One, I will say. That's They didn't even teach us about World War One in school in Ireland. I was just like, all right, Terminator 2, World War Two. Like, obviously start with the better one, right? You know, you don't want to waste, you know, different tone. You didn't know what they were doing back then. Even though it was quite a high budget war from what I was led to believe. But this is my favourite thing about being surrounded by English people. What happened with the Chaplins during World War II then? I need to know.
What do you mean?
How many Nazis did Grandpappy Chaplin kill in the war?
Well, I don't know about Grandpappy Chaplin, but Grandpappy on my mum's side, he was fixing planes.
Fixing planes.
If anything did happen, it's indirect.
Yeah, but was he fixing planes so that our boys, the noble Tommies, could go and have a nice holiday? Was he fixing planes that were going to drop in packs of biscuits? Or was he fixing those planes that were fixing to kill the Nazis in World War II?
Just whichever ones came in, I reckon, probably. Yeah. Wouldn't want to, you know. But it is good to kill Nazis, right?
Would he... Would he just fix, like, the plane bit, like the wings and stuff, or would they be like, here, the gun we used to shoot and blow up the Nazis, it's actually jammed. Would he have a look at that and kind of go, all right, look under the hood of the big gun. Oh, there's your problem. You've killed too many Nazis. Only joking.
There's no such thing. He'd have a look. He'd get stuck in, I'm sure. I could ask him about it and, you know, try and figure out what happened.
Why did you sidestep the Chaplin clan and directly into your mother's side of the family? Is that because the Chaplins were conscientious objectors to the Great War?
No, they were Nazi. No.
You heard it here first.
My dad listens to this show. There was no... I don't know my granddad on my dad's side. I don't know if there was any military history.
But I thought you had to. Like, you had to. There was no choice in the matter.
The timelines line up, right? So there probably was, but I genuinely don't really know about it. So
is it fair to say that it was not guts and glory enough that you were all told when you were children? This was something that was waiting to be prompted and it never came up.
Yeah. Well, I never met my granddad on my dad's side. I know you've talked about your lack of, you know,
Thanks for rubbing that in. Thanks for rubbing that in.
So I didn't get one, and so the conversation never came up because like he wasn't there to chat about it.
Oh, I see. It would have been fair, would have been, for someone else to kind of, you know, steal his valor and brag about all the cool things he did.
Exactly. But the other one he's about, so can hear about the fixing of the planes. There we go.
That's the complete history of... There's funny, there was nothing about that in the Blitzed Brits horrible histories I read as a child, a.k.a. my soft introduction to World War II.
Which was the war with the footy in it? Was that this one? Was that the one with the footy in it? You know when they played a bit of footy?
That was World War One.
That was World War One. Okay. I was trying to think about which is my favourite, and it's probably the one with the footy in it.
The one with the footy in it, that was Euro 98. A war by any other name would smell as sweet. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, look, it's World War II. We know this is a World War II film.
Yeah. And World War II, I feel like we were fed quite a steady diet as children growing up. Stuff set in World War II.
Yeah.
The earliest toys I remember playing with were little plastic toy soldiers, which I don't know why, but we knew all the colours meant the different, like the grey ones were the Nazis. The green ones were the Americans. The dark green ones were the British because they had berets. And then we had these blue ones and we're like, the fuck are these? And we're like, it's only the bloody Italians. That's what they are.
Yeah.
So I wonder, what was your earliest memory of World War II mixed media? Could be video games, could be telly, could be... Did you have, like... Because I know that the Action Man we got in the 90s was a lot more concerned with the war crimes of Dr. X and Professor Gangrene than, you know, Adolf Hitler. So I'm not sure if you had been a few years younger than me, you missed out on some of that kind of... You know, we had stacks of Commando 64 pagers, all this. And my dad was super enthusiastic about war media. Wars and westerns, that's what he loved.
Yeah. See, I don't know if my dad's like a big war guy. You know?
Well, case in point, he didn't make you watch this.
No, I genuinely can't remember my first exposure to World War II as a concept.
Did you play Medal of Honor on PlayStation 1?
No.
Did you play any of the Call of Duties?
No. I'm very bad at first-person shooters, and I always have been.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, you've become kind of a gamer, but in much later years, you weren't kind of growing up. You were more the passive watcher, you said. And there weren't many World War II themed Pokemon, from what I remember. And I know they were meant to do... I know they were meant to do... I know they were going to do the Normandy landing as a level on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, but they couldn't figure out where to put the SKATE. And videotapes didn't exist back then, so it made no sense.
They went from the Normandy landing to normally landing some great skateboarding tricks is what they went for.
And I think that was World War II. They didn't have the footy, but they did have a little bit of a skate in the middle, didn't they? They were doing ollies and they were doing tricks in the craters of the bombs that they were blowing off. It made quite the impressive skate park.
Yes.
War media. What have you got?
I can't think of my first war media. I mean, The Simpsons had some fucking war in it. What have I got for war? Have we done World War II for this? I don't think we have yet. No.
I know. You didn't see Band of Brothers?
No. Although I've listened to that podcast about the guy who got rejected from Band of Brothers. I've listened to all of that. It's a great podcast. Dead Eyes. Wonderful stuff.
Great series as well is Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Fall asleep in front of it this coming Sunday.
But I've not seen that. I knew that was a big deal. I've not seen this. I knew this was a big deal.
Is it? I mean... The close to me, I know, because you didn't see Indiana Jones until this podcast. You got a bit of World War II in there, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I suppose that's a World War II movie, isn't it?
Look, Sam, let's stop beating around the bush. What was your first Nazi? Did you play Wolfenstein? Because I remember putting in that cheat code, going straight to Adolf Hitler and saying, I'm going to take it to you, you mechanized bastards.
No.
Not today.
I remember seeing... this is a weird point of reference. Sid Vicious as a punk rocker being controversial and wearing Nazi underpants to kind of really stick it to the man and kind of upset everyone. I remember that as a visual image.
Lest we forget
that, but that can't be my only cultural reference.
No,
World War II, can it?
Come on.
I'm really struggling.
Did you read horrible histories growing up then?
Yeah, I mean, so I obviously learned about World War II in school quite a lot. And so maybe there was a sense of like not wanting to engage with media about it because it's like, that's
because it's school.
I'm not going to go home and do homework for free.
So you didn't have kind of like army toys growing up then, really? Then that's
we had the little green soldiers and the a few toy guns and things, I think.
Look, what we're saying here is Sam's first interaction in the mainstream media with the concept of World War II was Pixar's Toy Story, the brief period where the little green men.
Yes.
It was Andy's bedroom, which might as well have been the beaches of Normandy. They were there to kill.
Yes.
Or be killed.
This is a real cultural blind spot, me trying to think of any World War II media that I've interacted with, because there's not a lot.
They never did a Blackadder series in World War II, didn't they?
I was going to say Blackadder, but oh no, that was the other one. Because it would have been that.
You know what I think genuinely my earliest war media was? I think it was Allo Allo. Because I used to watch that when I was like really little, like 5 or 6. That would be on back to back to back, and I just sit down and fucking gobble up hours of it. I'm like, look there, the man with the funny accent now and the leather coat. That's the secret police, Kevin. They're Nazis. They're bad.
Is Dad's Army? Is that World War II?
Dad's Army's World War II. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably an early one. Yeah.
There's a bit of maybe some of that in there somewhere, I think.
Was that part of your diet growing up, Dad's Army? Because I remember very briefly when I was, again, around 5 or 6 years old, watching Dad's Army, being very confused about I've spoken before about my dad's penchant to tell tall tales because he was in the army reserves when he was 16 and he got free dinner there and a pint once a week, but that then became I drove an armored car, which was he saw an armored car, to then I was in Vietnam. He would escalate these tall tales. And I was like, wow, my dad's a war hero. And then there is Dad's Army. And the main guy in Dad's Army, he's got a hat on most of the time. So you didn't know if he was bald like my dad, but he looked a lot like my dad. And I thought Dad's Army was a long-running BBC series chronicling my father's endeavours across all war.
Also, it was your dad's army.
My personal dad's army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch much of that. I guess I culturally think of the Nazis being ridiculed and made fun of as baddies. I've got some sense of that. I don't know where that comes from. It comes from the right place in terms of they are bad.
Good job, media, because even ambiently, Sam somehow figured out that Nazis were bad, even without watching the Justice League episode where they go back in time and find out that Hitler's got technological advances.
But I don't think I was a war boy. In terms of what I would want to gravitate towards, I don't think.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't a war boy either, mainly because I found war movies. I remember specifically watching Hamburger Hill and The Bridge Over the River Kwai with my dad and being like, I'm so bored. There wasn't a street shark to be seen in those movies. So I remember kind of thinking that it was old shit. My brother likes it, my dad likes it. It's not for me. I like sci-fi. I like cool guy stuff. I like wrestling and I like Reboot.
I think this I loved Reboot. I think there's something in that of war being either feeling like school or work, or that it's dusty old history that I don't need.
Not even dusty old. Sam, you know what? I don't mean to invoke Mr. Durst very often, but Generation X, Generation Strange, someone even shat through a window pane. That I think we could chalk it up to being slightly too young to be fucking proper. Because I've never loved video games about World War II and stuff like that either.
No, but some people do love war media, and there's always World War II films coming out. I know it's a big thing. I'm sure I have seen some war stuff.
Who have we got in the hot seat today? Right. Do you know who's involved with Saving Private Ryan? I'd like to know directors, stars, what bit of the war, putting that GCSE knowledge to the test.
Okay, here's my guesses for the people. Well, I know Tom Hanks is in it, who we are familiar with from Big.
And he, just so you know, spoiler here, but when he's in World War II here, he's not with the mind of a child.
No, thankfully.
Clear that up.
Matt Damon, I think, is in it. He might be Private Ryan.
The titular Private Ryan.
He might be the titular Private Ryan. I don't know anyone else who's in it. I think this is Spielberg. I think.
You're very right. I won't maintain a guise of ambiguity. We've had Spielberg within the last 10 episodes, because I know we had a bit of a tay in the house.
Yes. And I think this came out sort of 1999, 2000 maybe, is my feeling.
You're in the right
on this
ballpark.
One. That sort of area.
Ballpark. Yeah.
So it was a big cultural thing that I was aware of as a child.
Why? Because were they giving away free Saving Private Ryan keychains in Kellogg's or Happy Meals, or what was it?
No, it's just, when something's a big deal and you're a child, you still kind of absorb the posters and TV stuff and adverts and things. So I think I kind of even the font being I think it's Helvetica or some sans serif font.
It's a nice font.
It's a nice font.
I treat fonts like I treat wine. If you know about it, great. I just know what I like, and that's a tasty, crisp font.
In fact, it doesn't look like a war font, does it? It looks like a kind of contemporary font, but over some war stuff, which is interesting.
War would be all capital letters, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What was the other question about this? There was director. Which bit of the war is it?
Which bit of the war? Which bit of the war are we talking about? Are we talking about that old hog Winston Churchill sucking down brandy and cigars and scratching himself in the House of Commons? Yeah, and you know what? And they're saying now they're going to make Sir Beer Korma the next Prime Minister. Fucking butter wouldn't melt. wouldn't know.
Well, I mean, it's during the bad bit of I think they're in the thick. I think they're in the thick of the war. They're like
thick of
this
it. There we go.
Full war.
So you're saying this would be like kind of the second act of the mid-level boss type
Mid-war.
of thing.
Yeah.
Mid-war.
Yeah. In terms of what happens here.
And where are we?
Where? Oh God, I don't like. I don't know. I don't know what
I know it's
they are.
hard when it's a world war. It is a bit hard to kind of, if we were doing Apocalypse Now, you'd be listing off the cities of Vietnam, and there'd be no problem.
Is this Normandy? Is this?
It is very
right,
good.
Okay, so we're there.
He's there as well, as is Tom Hanks and Matt Damon.
Normandy.
Normandy. I say what you will about Normandy, though, but like no one could approach his goal scoring ratio at Leicester City.
It's not Normandy's like France, isn't it? That's
Yes.
yeah. And this is is this D-Day landings? Is this?
Oh, look at him now. He's figuring it all out.
That's what this is. Maybe
3 points.
D-Day, Normandy.
What's the D stand for? Dank Day.
That's every day is D-Day for me, mate. That's a horrible thing to say out of context. I don't. Oh, I should know that, shouldn't I? That's the thing I should know. Like, is it deployment? No. Death? Destruction.
Death. Look, guys. Operation D-Day. Sorry, sir. What's the D stand for? It's not important. Death. Anyway, so you'll be funneled through here.
They called it D-Day at the time. Darren? The Darren Day?
Darren.
No.
Darren Day. Darren Day, the runner-up of 1998's Pop Idol.
Direction. What? I want to look it up now because this is embarrassing, and it speaks to my lack of historical knowledge that always tends to come up. What's the D&D Day for?
So I had a quick Google there because I was only probably around 60% sure myself.
Yeah.
But according to army.mil, which I really trust, they say, and this is the top result on Google, I'll have you know as well. I thought it was like delivery day or whatever it was, or deployment day. Maybe.
Yeah.
But apparently, the D&D Day merely stands for day. This coded designation was used for the day of any important invasion or military operation.
Oh, so I'm not an idiot then for not knowing what it is because it's just Day.
Day. Sul.
So it's D-Day, Norman D-Day. It's happening. And I would imagine that these lads are trying to save a private whose surname, not first name, is Ryan.
Oh, you're going surname here. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Now, I just want to say, this is a shout out to Hollywood. I love doing this podcast, and I don't think you're helping me in my job and make it any easier when you are kind of telling Sam a bit much.
Well, they're going to save Private Ryan, aren't they? They're trying to save him.
If there's a reason Stallone didn't call Rocky 2 Rocky Wins, it's too much information.
If in that case, they'd have to call it winning the boxing match against Apollo Creed.
No, Rocky 1 is Rocky loses. Rocky 2 is Rocky wins.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Rocky 3, we're getting into paragraph territory because there's a lot that's going to happen in Rocky 3.
So they say, I guess they just save Private Ryan and bish bash bosh. End of the day, film done. That shouldn't take more than an hour and a half, should it?
Well, I've got news for you, Sam. It's war, and war is hell, and war movies are long. And I don't suppose I could say whether you like this or not. I mean, you've shown no real kind of inkling towards, like, and this is by no means a knock because you like what you like, but you don't strike me as someone who's going to pursue history in your downtime. That's not like an interest of yours, right?
Does that come across in my level of knowledge?
I know, it feels like there's so much blur knowledge in there that World War II can't get a look in.
No. Yeah, if this was a film about, saving Graham Coxon, then maybe we're on to
D-Day, Damon Day. Allburn.
Yes, but it's not that. Yeah, I'm not one for history a lot of the time, so is it? I'm not sure. Not sure how I'm going to get on with this.
I feel like this is from that kind of crop of movies where it's like, this is the kind of the highly polished AAA blockbuster of the day.
Okay.
And I mean, I remember first seeing this in school. I think they showed it to us in history class. Fucking hell, that's like 4 lessons. Amazing, great job, everyone. But I then remember watching it myself, like I think 1 or 2 times after that, because I did get interested in World War II and history in general in my later years.
Yeah.
I think I'm a fan of this mainly because I don't know, I love kind of personable stories about people in war, whatever war it is, you know, and I think it does do a very good job of that because we've got obviously quite a significant pedigree here. My memory though is that there's something really big that's going to happen at the start, and I'm not sure if the landing is stuck after that fact, so I'll be very intrigued to see how you get on that front. But my general vague feeling is that, you know, this is like you've never eaten McDonald's before, but you like burgers and you're going to go and have a Big Mac, you'll probably have a decent time. So I'm kind of feeling like this will be a thumbs up in some regards. But I don't know. I mean, we've got double nostalgia. I got nostalgia for late 90s movies, and then that has caked into it the built-in nostalgia for the 40s. Why were they nostalgic about World War II? It was horrible. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. But before we get to D-Day, let's get to the D-bag, by which I mean the mailbag.
Welcome to the mailbag.
Oh!
Welcome to the D-bag, the M-bag. Welcome to the mailbag. Thank you for sending in your questions, queries, comments, and other stuff to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
Yes, and these letters have all come from a guy whose job it is to deliver the mail during the war, and he's had to go through all barbed wire and muck and shite. It's awful.
Yes, and our correspondence today comes from Tristan, who writes the following. I think this is very relevant given that we're going into a long movie. As men in their 30s who enjoy caffeinated drinks, I think that is true of both of us, have you seen the app where people tell you the optimum spots in a film for a piss break so you don't miss anything important in the cinema?
That's interesting. I'm aware of this. You are? Yes? Yeah.
Yeah. What I'd say is that, like, I very rarely, if I'm in a cinema, go for a mid-film piss.
Yes.
But it's been a long time since I've seen a long boy of a film.
Did you go to Oppenheimer then?
No.
Well, good luck understanding that movie on a small screen. Fool.
I'm going to watch it on my phone as nature intended. How would this, does the app tell you the time in the film that the piss would happen, or does it tell you like something that you'll see? Like a landmark in a film?
Yeah, there is basically kind of like, it's like how wasps would navigate. There's a visual landmark it gives you where it's like, when this bit starts, off to the toilet you go. And I'm like yourself, I don't like to wee during a movie. No. And there was a period of time when I was like in my kind of mid-20s where like I started peeing at like right in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, okay, this is growing up. This is what it is now. I pee in the middle of the night and I will start peeing in the cinema. And I'm here to tell you today, listener in their 30s, that you can turn it around by carefully portioning out when and what you drink and put into your body. And there's no movie peas for me still, and there's no middle of the night peas still, unless I greatly uncalibrate that. It's been like that for 10 years, and I want to keep it that way. I was tempted during Oppenheimer, because me and Joe did Barbie and Oppenheimer. We did the double dash, and we consulted, but we realized that we didn't need it. And I think when I went to, it was one of the Avengers movies that was particularly egregiously long, and I was like, right, I will probably have to go and wee during this, but there's a real great thing that'll keep you from doing that, and you don't need no app. Just think about the toilet in the cinema.
Yeah.
It's covered in piss, isn't it? It smells like piss everywhere. Like just
piss city.
Like a hose pipe that's been left on a leash going, but it's piss. So when I really need to pee, I think of that, and my kidneys absorb that information, and I no longer need to pee. And it's good. It's good for me. It's healthy, and that's where we're at. If a movie's going to be so long you need to pee in it, I would go for the app though. If you're feeling like, don't piss. Nothing Hollywood can make is worth pissing yourself for.
Who's determining the bits of the movie that it's all right to miss? Whose decision is that?
That's it, right?
Is that upvoted like fucking Reddit or something?
There is a communal aspect to it, I believe. Right. But when I looked at it for Avengers, it was literally like, oh, this is the bit when they're all talking. I'm like, come on now. What's that like?
Yeah.
I want the context for the really, really, really good fight scene in a Marvel movie. You know, the really good ones that they do. Where it's all like, wow, this is like a fucking... You remember how you felt when you first booted up that Xbox 360? Whoa! Ah! Whoa! So, you know, I don't want to lose any of that context.
No, and I you know what I'd say? This robs you of the very satisfying, but probably dangerous for your body, big piss after the end of having to not piss for ages, which is it's a good feeling, man. I don't know if it's all right, but it's good.
In terms of a feeling, it's the closest that pissing comes to sneezing, and that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. And I wouldn't be sneezing in the cinema either.
No, don't be doing that. So, I mean, I'm curious about it, but I don't think I'm ever gonna need it necessarily.
I'm not taking any risks here now. I want to be open to all possibilities. The body, sure, it's changing all the time. So I would say, if you've got any pee strategies, and notice we did not mention the name of the app because we do not want it to be misconstrued for an endorsement. So if you've got any lived experiences of how to wee, by all means, cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
Yes. Please tell us how...
Tell us
how to wee. Yeah.
There was one time when I saw the Miami Vice remake with Colin Farrell in it, and the movie was so boring, despite me having taken in no great amount of fluid, my body's like, you need to go pee now, because this has been 90 minutes and you're bored. And I peed for a good 5 minutes straight in there, and I was like, my body is draining itself of vital fluids to get me out of watching the end of this movie. I'm pretty sure I was peeing cerebrospinal fluid at the end there. It was no good.
Bodies are amazing, man. They'll always, they'll do what's right.
I'll always take mine to the cinema.
Yes. But thank you for your question, Tristan. I think given that we're going into a big, long film, I think we're going to wrap up that M-bag right there and just pop it back, and we're just going to dive in. We're going to get into this war film.
It's a big one, Sam.
War. Yeah.
Are you going to take lots of little breaks? Are you going to have your dinner during it? What's the strategy for big game Sam Chaplin?
I'm going to have my dinner during it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's split into 3 acts that sit exactly on the out. I think this is 3 acts. I've got in my head this is 3 hours.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about your dinner. You're having a 3-act dinner. You know, when you've got the pizza, chicken diddlers, and the chips. 1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna probably split this film off into chunks. I've got it, but I don't know. You know, we shall see how the cards fall.
And Sam,
yeah,
what are you having for your tea tonight?
Oh, a honey mustard chicken. A slow cooker dish.
Oh, Sam Chapolino, mamma mia.
Oh, it's good stuff.
I start World War III so I can have some. Let's go do a swirl. And we're back. Sam, initial gut reaction to Saving Private Ryan.
But in a good way. Like that. So it's a big... You know what I mean? Like...
You just had that email on your mind about the big we. Are you just thinking, is that the we after the movie that you're describing there now? In a good way.
No, it's more of because a we is like a positive, like this is more of a like a kind of fucking out, but good, like, you know,
but good, but good. So, were you positive throughout, or is this something that kind of built through the movie? Like, were we ebbing and flowing here?
I think pretty much positive throughout. But to be honest, when I have a wee after watching a film, I'm not thinking about the horrors of war. That's how I'm trying to explain what that noise was. But yeah, it's going to be hard to do our little jokes a lot about this film.
Oh, speak for yourself. Okay. I've got loads. I've got loads. Starting things off, Saving Private Ryan, the titles, green line underneath, more like Saving Private Ryan fragment, consider revising. We'll be fine.
There we go. Also, I liked that the font for the actual titles on the film That's war font. We talked about how like the poster font is like cool graphic design. It's 1998 or something.
So you thought that was disrespectful to the War Dead, is what you're saying? If they had used that for the main title font,
It's the same font that is used in Jackass. So I mean, you know, you got to pick
Where
one.
do you think they got the idea from, Sam? Johnny and the guys are sitting around watching them storm the beaches of Normandy, and he's like, I got one of my crazy ideas, my trademark crazy ideas. Hi, I'm Steve-O, and this is the Normandy Beach landing. When you live out a gamble, you really are you playing this.
Maybe we will survive making our little jokes about this. I feel reassured already that everything's going to be okay.
See, this is the problem. If you watch it once, you feel it's disrespectful to have the odd joke here or there. I've watched this movie a couple of times.
Right.
So I like the challenge of trying to find fun in this long, sad movie about the horrors and intricacies of being on the front lines of World War II. That's right, the Second World War, the war so nice, they did it twice.
Yes.
And it really shouldn't have. It was, oof. That's a long, bloody war. And I mean that quite literally and figuratively.
Yeah. So we start out. Should we just get into Saving Private
Let's get
Ryan?
into it, man.
Yeah.
All right, look, there can be jokes to be made. We start off and, he loves this war cemetery. He's so excited. He keeps walking. Slow down, Grandad. Hey, he's already eaten his trail mix. He's got a pep in his step.
I mean,
Why isn't he like this at the other cemeteries? Well, this is a war cemetery, Johnny, and it's a little bit different for Grandpa here.
Yes, great stamina from the old mystery codger here. We're not quite sure who they're...
Mystery codger.
There's a bit of misdirection, I think, because we get this codger. It seems disrespectful to call you a codger.
Sam, all right. They're the greatest generation of codgers. So something about codgers as well. It seems like kind of like, I don't know, like kind of a nice stew you get up north or something like that. Oh, you got a bowl of codgers there. I do actually. I had a spare sausage going in the fridge, so I made a nice bowl of codgers for this warm winter evening. I made a bowl of codgers to warm me cockles.
Yes. Geezer? No, but the Geezer's like...
Geezer is different.
Yeah, Geezer's different.
Because I feel if you're a geezer, that's implying you have some sort of an agency over your current state of being. Like you opt in to become a geezer. It's
Right.
like being a player, basically. If you're a codger, that's just what you are.
You're just a codger.
You can't help that. That's just the hands of time. I will say, Steven Spielberg, master of direction, who picked up Oscar gold for this, no less. Quite the juggling act to begin the movie with an emotional climax.
Yes,
There's several more to come, you know?
It's a strong choice.
I wouldn't want him directing pornography, Sam. I don't think he'd do very well. I certainly wouldn't think it'd be his speed.
Especially not if he started out with the, American flag, but kind of transparent and washed out. And I was like, oh, maybe there's some symbolism in that.
Yeah, and War Cemetery Sluts as a series, I thought was a little bit derivative, and it kind of got more disrespectful as the years went on, if anything.
So come on, Kevin, stop being so disrespectful. Anyway, this codger's looking at some war graves.
He's disrespectful, right? If you're part of and let's call him what he is, he's the would-be war dead, because, you've seen a lot of graves there.
Yeah.
And notably, he's not in any of them. He's alive and well.
That would have been a twist if he'd have just gone into one.
My time has come, like that jam sketch. He's literally jogging over the graves. Now, I don't know about you. When I was a child going to the graveyard, right?
Yeah.
Childhood days in the graveyard.
Sure.
All right. No, and not as like a disrespectful goth hanging out, writing poetry and eating red hot pepperammies in the graveyard. I just mean visiting old dead codgers in my family, right?
Yeah.
There was a strict don't walk on the actual grave.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying walk over the tombstone. I mean the bit in front. Like the gravestone is the pillow and the body is the main bed, right? You don't walk on that bit. No, not for this, lads. Jog, jog, jog. Someone could construe that as a dance on a grave.
Yeah, but they also, I was going to say, they've not put lanes there so you know where to walk and not to walk. It's not,
It's not something in your head. It's not like walking on the cracks on the pavement or something
No,
like that. It's way worse. There's dusty old bones underneath there. It's not on. It's not on.
Well, this old codger, he gets to one of the graves and he's crying and he's staring ahead, and we hear the waves and we zoom in on his eyes, blue eyes, and then we do a kind of a match cut to Tommy Hanks. So I'm like, that's old man Hanks. That's old man Hanks back there.
All old men look the same. You could show you a picture of any old man that could conceivably be you when you yourself become old.
Yes.
And I thought it was very brave to not go with the original direction of when you did the slow zoom in, going June 6, 1944. It was a summer I would never forget. That was probably not the way to start things, and I'm glad they didn't go that route, even though it was the start of a summer that they would literally never forget.
Yes.
Right, the lads are all getting ready here for D-Day.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Sam. Nervous and supping on that canteen? It's going to be Wee Day, not D-Day at this rate. And you thought there was going to be no jokes. With a piss email in the pre-swirl?
Yeah.
Come on, I'm giggling.
I mean, I guess in that circumstance, just piss how and whenever you want, really. You're not really going to be worrying that much about piss. Piss is going to be the least of your worries on D-Day, is what I'm going to say.
There's many other fluids here. Lot of blood straight
Loads
away
of blood.
here.
Yeah.
They turn that salty water iron red. And I would have thought if you did need to wee in this sort of a kind of a land invasion type scenario, sure, if you were a Nazi looking down the barrel of your gun and some lad's coming at you and he's got his gun and he's ready to do the bit of business of war and sure, he's just pissing himself freely, that's going to get in the head.
That's psychological warfare right there. Yeah.
That's going to make you, am I really willing to, I think I might be on the wrong side of this war. Those guys look like they're really ready for it. They've got berserkers. They're peeing themselves.
I think we may be trying to distract ourselves from addressing the fact that this whole thing is like powerfully like grim. It's good, like it's good, but fucking hell, it's
this was your first time seeing that. This is the kind of the iconic bit of the movie. I had to kind of stop myself because I didn't want to literally say that a lot of people say this movie is 10-15 minutes at the start of like the most incredible action scene ever, and then it becomes this kind of long boring fuddy-duddy kind of war drama or whatever it is. Now I've always wondered why people think that, because it's like just because something's really great at the start doesn't mean that the different aspects of the movie they give you afterwards are any less valid.
No.
And I did a little searching, and it turns out that kind of dirty rumor started and was circulated among a lot of critics because back in the day of 1998 was the beginning of extremely fierce turf wars between studios about who was going to win Best Picture at the Oscars. Right. And dirty old scumbucket Harvey Weinstein of Miramax successfully managed to get Shakespeare in Love to win the Oscar in 98 as opposed to this. And apparently one of the ways he did it was that he would make the talking point for when they were doing their interviews about, how it's just 15 minutes of flash at the start and the rest of the movie doesn't live up to that. You're just too spectacular, Stephen, at the start. All flash, all climax at the start. Again, not getting into pornography anytime soon. But that's apparently this year was when that whole thing started, of it not just being kind of a gentleman's agreement of I will put out my ad, we will have a screening and we will do some press and that's it. This is when it became, we're inviting you all, the Academy, you're all coming to our special party away in our sex island you get all the shrimp you can eat and it's not wrong, and I'm going to give you 100 hours of Q&As per star, and we're going to do round-the-clock press junkets, and like Shakespeare in Love. What is that? This is clearly an Oscar movie. This one, come on,
this screams.
Even if you don't like it, it screams
Oscar. You can't help but hear the screams of Oscar
over the screams of the war dead when they're attacking the murder holes. That's right, murder holes.
Yes.
What's a murder hole, Sam?
What is a murder hole, Kevin? I'm going to throw that question right back to you. Is the whole thing a murder hole? What's a murder hole? Murder hole?
I'm going to guess that a murder hole is basically one of those pits that have been dug in there so that if you fall in, they just go and blap you good and proper.
Right.
And I know, look, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're starting with the beach episode of the anime here, Saving Private Ryan. And it's kind of like you doing the way day on the beach already. Do you reckon placement on the boat was decided by like popularity or seniority? Because I don't know about you, I've picked up some of them queuing habits from ye Brits, and I'd be finding a way to mosey myself towards the back of the boat, so to speak.
Is that better? Oh, yeah, that is better. Yeah, I've just realised why that's better.
No, Sam, no, I think you're right, though, at the front of the boat. Maybe you should take that. Take that now. I'll scope it out in the back, just in case.
Maybe they draw straws? I don't know. I think, you just kind of... That's when it's good to be punctual, innit? When they're filling up the boat. No, it's good to not be punctual. I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
Look, there are lessons to be learned here if any of you are thinking about storming any beaches in a war-based scenario.
Yes.
And the one thing I definitely picked up from this, Sam, is it's the smart soldier who keeps their gun in the wrapper.
Yeah, I liked the plastic gun wrappers.
Good, I like that.
That was nice.
And they were see-through, so you could still see the gun.
Yeah.
So you didn't think you were accidentally carrying a load of bamboo sticks or something like that by mistake. Or a clarinet.
All these American soldiers have bought us presents.
Yay!
Oh no, they're guns. There's something eerily beautiful about people getting shot underwater. And I think it's shot that way of like the blue and the red, and it's just peaceful and quiet. But Jesus Christ.
I did spend a lot of time in this scene dwelling on the different ways you could die in this scenario and kind of ranking which one was better. And certainly seeing the lads get artistically shot underwater was a lot more appealing to the death cult inside of me than the lad who drowned under all that heavy gear and equipment.
Yeah.
That's just like, I don't think I want to go that way. Here's a question for you, Sam. Do you think they dye the rivers in America red on D-Day like they do on St. Patrick's Day when they make them green?
No.
You reckon not? You reckon not?
No.
We see Tom Hanks or Star or big time Star looking more like Nathan Fielder than he ever has in any of the movies we've seen him in.
Yeah. And he goes into the kind of slow-mo, I'm going to call it trauma cam, because, he's kind of...
that's good.
Seeing the real horrors of war, people on fire, people with missing limbs. It's just...
It goes...
Yeah. It's just...
This is probably one of the first times we had this type of filming in a Hollywood blockbuster like this, because it's not shot like a typical war movie was before this.
No.
Because you've got a lot of the, I don't know, almost feels kind of slightly documentary like they're trying to get you in the muck, not taken away from the heroism of all that, but they want you to see the kind of the grimy side of it.
Yes.
There is a lot of people straight up exploding. And it's a delicate balance, because I think if you get to a certain point, and this is someone who's read all of Fist of the North Star, there's a certain point at which exploding people becomes funny. And they manage to fall good and short of that here.
They missed that mark. There are just buckets of blood fucking sloshing. You're really in it. You're fucking in the thing, and it feels quite tiring, to say the least, and just
I got a little seasick watching them at the start here as well, bobbing about. Do you think they put out like a flag, like when the water quality is poor at Blackpool, they put up a sign saying no, too much shit in the water today? Would they put something saying tourists give Normandy Beach a miss today? Maybe it's not the time for the picnic.
Want to say sort of no dogs in this area, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with those.
Ice cream van cutting a wide berth there is all I'm saying. There's been no 99 sold on the beach here today.
No.
Do you reckon that medics are kind of a moot point here? Like, we have a lot of medics attending to the war exploded, the fallen.
It's optimistic, isn't it, to be treating them as they go? But if your insides were outside of you, you wouldn't want them to say, oh, well, may as well just keep going.
There was a lot of morphine being injected into viscera is all I'm saying, where we saw this here. I'll tell you what I love, Sam. Keep it light. I love Bangalores. I love them. They're great. They're really fun. They're like the ultimate indoor firework.
Yes. Pass me a Bangalore. You got any bangers? Give me a Bangalore. Bangalore. It's fun to say. It's fun to say.
And if you want a Bangalore, you have to ask the man in WH Smith to go get the special key, so he'll take out the Bangalores, because they're a bit too spicy for over the counter.
Kevin, I was just reading my notes, and I've written one lad gets shot in the helmet, but that's not as funny as it sounds, because he doesn't get shot in the willy. He gets shot in the head and takes off his helmet out of surprise, and then gets shot fully in the head.
Man, these guys don't know how to handle their own luck.
No,
that's all I'm
they
saying.
don't.
You
No.
know, they give all the luck to the stupidest people sometimes, it feels like. Well, lucky we've got old man MacGyver Tom Hanks. And I will say from the get-go, it's a war movie, so don't expect him to be called anything other than Tom Hanks.
he's Tom
or
Hanks.
any of the many interchangeable privates to be given names, because they're all the fucking same as far as I'm... They're the lads.
They're the
That's
lads.
it, isn't it?
They're a bunch of lads.
They're the lads.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Yes.
old man MacGyver Tom Hanks here, he combines objects from his inventory to gain an advantage on those Nazi scumbags.
Oh, the Tears of the Kingdom mirror stick that he's made there to kind of see around the corner. That's pretty cool.
I mean, I got big LucasArts vibes from the gum with the weapon with the reflective material
Yes.
all together. World War II, one hell of a point and click game. I mean, it is. There's a lot of pointing and clicking going on here.
Yeah, a lot. And they're making a bit of progress at this point, and they kind of they're getting towards the kind of the base. They've started actually killing some of the Nazis.
It all looks up on the bright side when you climb out of your murder hole and you head
Yes.
towards the main base. Did you notice that the Christian seemed to get a bit of a buff once he did he had his special his artifact on him that gave him increased stats.
A god buff. It was impressive. Yeah, I liked it.
Flamethrowers in play here.
Yeah, look, I know that some of the ones being set on fire are Nazis, but still,
Yeah.
you know, something about set on fire is real bad. Like, that's...
Yeah, I had really strong I'm telling vibes throughout this. Like like they start shooting surrendering men and I'm like, I'm telling.
Yeah, that's naughty. Well, you're the little dweeb lad who comes up later on. That's you.
Hey, I'm just saying, like, there are rules,
Yes.
and I'm going to tell one of the war teachers that you didn't play
war
by them.
properly.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
Jeez, did you see Tom Hanks then when he was ringing in? The mobile phones were huge back then.
Proper big
The
buggers.
size of that thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
God almighty.
I was going to say just people having fun, not a phone in sight, but there's a few hanging about. So,
Amazing.
and they're not really having fun.
He's calling in his next moves on Bejeweled. That's what's happening there. There's no help coming from base. It's just how they did it back then. Ask your granddad about it. He'll tell you.
There's a close up of one lad just kind of straight up sobbing because they've kind of at this point they've sort of won that little battle. They've got some Germans.
Skirmish.
They've won the skirmish.
No wonder they won. They've got bloody Vin Diesel on their side.
Yeah. Of course they're going to win.
And this is the same year he did the Street Sharks promotion. So that's a busy calendar
Wow.
for old VD.
Yeah, and I liked the one lad gathering dirt from every country he's been in. That was quite sweet.
I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah.
But my question is, why not a smaller tin?
Yeah,
from
that's
each?
weighing you
Because
down, mate. That is weighing you down. Yeah.
You know?
And they show all the corpses on the beach, and there's a fucking load of them. And one of them is Private Ryan. So I guess the mystery is over, and they're not saving him because he's fucking dead. I saw the corpse. And we end the film.
And then the credits. Not only is Private Ryan dead, they've killed the fish as well. That's not on.
No. The fish are neutral.
Innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
They don't meddle in the affairs of humans.
Innocent by swimmers because they don't. They
Yeah,
can't
that's
stand.
true. Actually,
Yeah.
they're not really going to be standing about, are they?
Yeah.
Floaters, maybe. I'm just saying, like,
floaters.
by floaters, you know. Quite a view, yes. And we cut back to Top Army Brass HQ,
Yes.
where the letters, they are heavy and they're coming out fast. And I'll tell you what about the US Army. Thank you all for your service. They write one hell of a letter. This is good shit.
Yeah. I mean, if the letter is like your son's dead of war, you gotta.
Gussy up the language.
You can't just chat GPT that. You've got to that's got to
No.
be. You know, you can't get that
Gotta
from
have
Google
all
and swap the names.
fingers and toes accounted for.
Yeah.
Clippy isn't going to finish this one for you, and I like that it was done on a typewriter. The personal touch,
Mm. Yes.
as well. Colonel Cranston, Jesus Christ! I thought if you lost an army, you get to go home from the war. Let's saddle you with paperwork.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston's here. I mean, the cast of this is just. There's just random stars turning up every now and then.
Funny enough that you mentioned Jackass earlier. Joe watched half of this movie with me, and she commented around the point Ted Danson showed up is like, if you told me Steve-O appeared in this movie, I would 100% believe you. Because it's just, and it's not just big stars. It's like big stars, medium stars, people who are not yet stars.
Stars yet to
it's
come,
quite
yeah.
quite the galaxy that you're given here in this Steven Spielberg joint. But I'll tell you, it's a bad time to be a Ryan. They're falling thick and fast.
Yes, there's 3 Ryan brothers down. They're all dead.
Now, they're all very sad, all the top brass here, about the fact that all the Ryans are dying.
Yeah.
And
Dying
there's like
Ryan.
this intervention from like the head of the staff, and he's like, well, look, we're not letting this happen here. I don't fully buy, this could very well be based on an entirely true story, but I don't fully buy this very bureaucratic empathy in a world where anytime I get an NHS appointment, I always get 2 letters saying the same thing. I don't think they would figure this out. They would probably think that one guy has accidentally been written down as dead 4 times.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were doubting like that they would have the decency to suggest that they get the 4th Ryan out of there, but you're just saying from a admin point of view.
Just from an admin perspective,
sure.
oh, I've no doubt that America is very much an emotive superpower. I will
Yes.
give them that, you know. But they're saying, look, we can't even find the other Private Ryan, yet alone say him. And then your man whips out a letter from Abraham Lincoln. And I'm look, say what you will. These lads throughout history can write one hell of a letter.
Yeah.
Beguile? Excuse me, I literally don't mind that who's dead if you've used that word correctly in a letter.
Exactly.
That's a dream.
That's the pick-me-up that you need if the letter's about death. But there's a sole survivor policy, and they're just basically saying, come on, we got to get this 4th Ryan out of here and get him back home to his mum, because we're not letting Mrs. Ryan have to go through this one more time. And so that's
Heck no.
the plan. We're going to send someone in, and they're going to They're going to be saving Private Ryan. That's what they're going to be
That's the plan.
doing. Yes.
And before that, of course, we have to go and speak to Mrs. Ryan. And it's a very, very tender scene where she's sitting there, she's doing some dishes, and the army's car rolls up.
Yeah.
And they all come out and they go, Mrs. Ryan, your sons are coming home in the back of an ambulance. Because the hearses are full. No, that's not. They don't do that. No. There's no talking in that bit.
No, this.
World War I, the football was, not World War II.
No. Although there is a bit later where it does feel like a prank has been played, but it's an accident. But like, I was going to say there's no pranks in this, but there are some sort of.
Some sort of. Yeah. Meanwhile, at war. Now, I would say if you're at war, in war, shaving is pointless.
Yeah.
Agree?
It's not shaving Private Ryan, is it? Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You might as well end the episode there now. I mean, but, you know, they were tempting me, Sam.
Yeah?
These GIs, they got corned beef. Not so bad. I like corned beef.
Corned beef's nice.
I like it. No, not bad. I could be wrong. That could be chipped beef, in which case it's a whole other conversation that we're having. Much like, what is chipped beef?
Yeah, I don't know what. I've not heard of chipped beef.
Chipped beef, I know it's an army ration.
Right. Chipped.
I may have watched quite a few videos with Joe of people eating old army rations.
Well, like actual legit army rations that they've. Oh Christ!
It's a whole genre. I'll give you that.
Thanks to the pandemic and Bill Gates, we're all eating chipped beef now, aren't we? We're all just ingesting chipped pork, chipped beef.
Mr. Gates, we've got the latest data. Ah, good. What does it say? The beef is in stores now. Good.
Stroking Clippy on his slap. I like the phrase, this is going to be like finding a needle in a stack of needles. That's,
bloody hard, and it's going to be sharp and pointy as well.
Yes.
War is sharp, isn't it, Sam?
It is sharp. And speaking of sharp, we've got Daniel Faraday from Lost.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to try and surprise you with my lost knowledge.
I'm sorry, yes, but...
That's right. It's, as Joe described it, the non-Scottish physicist from, that hole that they're in.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, the murder hole? No, the number hole. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's here, and he's Upham. He's probably the only one of these lads whose name I remember because they keep shouting like Upham. Upham. Now, he's not done any combat before, but he's a
lemon.
He's very good with his languages. He can translate, so they need him for that. So they're bringing him.
Oh yeah,
on the mission.
That's going to stop the Nazis. German.
Words.
Words. Yeah. Check out Neville Chamberlain over here.
Well, all the other boys don't like Upham. They're like, You're not a proper soldier. Ooh la la, Mr. Language. Oh, say some more words. Boo. Like, they're slagging him off.
You don't even know what FUBAR means. That's our secret cool army word that we only tell our mates.
He thinks he's like, I'm looking in the German dictionary, I can't find it. What a dweeb.
He doesn't even know.
Okay.
FUBAR is what they used to call boost bars before they changed them in Ireland, you idiot. Fool. Now, you think it couldn't get any worse. Bunch of lads off on a silly mission to find a missing private and God knows where.
Yeah.
And sure, Jesus, it starts raining. It'll be World War III at this rate.
Oh, yeah, get the brollies out, lads. Christ. It's not what you want to see.
Because, yeah, if you're holding an umbrella,
Yeah.
where is your aiming going to be on the rifle? It'll be out on your backside, basically.
Right. Dragon's Den, mate. The rifle is an umbrella. Like, the end of the rifle end has an umbrella on it that you can choose to use.
I feel like we're closing in on something because that plastic sheet, let's be honest, it's the most impressive thing we've seen in World War II so far.
Yes.
If we could somehow engineer that to also be the covering, we're onto something.
Yeah.
Dry boys are better than wet boys when it
always said
comes
that.
to our boys fighting the Nazis.
Yes.
Or should I say, year boys fighting the Nazis, or boys, some of whom were selling weapons to the Nazis, were neutral in all accounts.
Right.
Fun fact, I found that out when I was doing my grade 7 speech and drama exam, and I was given a book of Winston Churchill speeches to read out as my unseen reading, which was part of the exam.
Yeah.
And I just started reading it out. I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, and the guy was like nodding, like, yeah, that's right, little boy. You're going to find out all sorts.
Hold on, who sold weapons to the Nazis now?
Some militant members of certain paramilitary organizations
In Ireland.
may or may not have facilitated the sale of certain weapons.
Wow.
Which that pig, Winston Churchill, was only too happy to jump up on in a speech of such note, a boy had to read it in a speech and drama exam in 2003.
I'm so used to being on the back foot in terms of history and who's on the right side of things in terms of our nations. And now the shoe is on the other foot. And that shoe...
Now, I will say this is a period of time where there were literal British fascists being sent over to kill and murder. That's a different episode. It's a different episode.
Forget it. It's all... Paul Giamatti's here. We've got Paul Giamatti. Hey! Everything's
and he
fine.
definitely didn't sell weapons to the Nazis because
No.
he's on our side, your side.
He's one of our ones. I put down that there's a lot of like conversation going on and talking over each other. It's a bit like Uncut Gems at times, but that's a weird reference to make. I'm like, hold on, lads, I can't hear who's talking to who. But you know, I think again that's the reality of war. It's not like we're going to go over here and save the day. It's more like what? Who's cover? And it's just chatting.
You listen to the guy with one finger in his ear who's got a big phone.
Yeah.
He's the guy who tells you what your next objective is. And you also get great little phrases dropped in the war. Obviously, FUBAR is all well and good, but shoot and scoot? Yes, please. I like
Shoot
that
and
a lot.
scoot. Yes.
Little shoot and scoot.
So there's a little, I think, French family here who are in trouble and they've got kids and they're trying to get the soldiers to take the kids away from this bit that
Yeah,
they're
they're
in.
like, oh, maman, où es-tu?
Yeah.
Je suis seul à manger. And they're like, look, we can't take them. We haven't got time to do our oral exam, yet alone take on any of these French children. And before you know it, the biggest steak on the rack gets hung up. They shoot our man Vin Diesel. And that is so upsetting to me. If this was a war with cars, he'd have survived and thrived. But it's not car wars, it's World War II. And there are very few cars.
Yes.
So he's out of his element, isn't he?
Vin was just he was trying to save a child. At the end of the day, it was about family. And that family
That was it.
what mattered to him.
I think, Vin, if I'm you, you got to just treat it as a job, man, and you were in deep with the Street Sharks, and I get they're charismatic fighters who inspire, and you might want to be like Ripper or Big Samu and save a child, but you need to know something. You may look like you are a part fish mutant man, but you're not. You're just a man.
No, you're just a man.
And like I would say the same thing if Slobster was there. You don't go near him. Don't go near him.
Yeah, no.
Eyes bigger than your stomach. I'm not trying to say he deserved to die, but I'm just saying the real Street Sharks could have handled the situation.
Sure, I see what you're saying. Now, Vin Diesel is there kind of bleeding out. A German sniper's about to get him, but then the German sniper gets taken out by our sniper. But then ultimately Vin Diesel does die. But I just wanted to say, I think of like characters in war movies. The snipers are always like kind of weird. They've got a kind of weird vibe to them. And I gravitate towards it. I quite like the snipers.
It's funny you say that because this is the part of the movie that Joe was most interested in. My sniper wife, who just out of sheer boredom started doing the sniper mode in Hitman a few years ago and now has gobbled through several sniper-only video games.
Yeah.
And she started critiquing the shots that the sniper was taking.
All right.
So she's big into it. I don't know what it's about you outsiders. You just love being up in a tower shooting people with your scopes.
Yeah, I mean it's a solo pursuit, I suppose. You know, more so than the rest of the war. Like you're a bit more.
We should do Enemy at the Gates. That's just a sniper movie. That is.
I'm up. Sorry, hold on.
You're doing it again.
No, I need to drink. It's not unprofessional. It's fine. I'm up. Don't make me do it. I'm up for some sniping.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm keeping in the bit where I'm knocking things about. I'm keeping in the bit where I take a big sip. I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. I love snipers. They're great.
See, the only time in nearly 10 years of podcasting with you where I was like, just a slight note.
Yeah.
Don't bring the can up to your mouth mid-sentence. And that has turned into a fourth wall-breaking moment from a man who literally delayed this recording by 15 minutes to pick up how many cans of Pepsi Max?
96.
96. Boom,
Yep.
boom, boom.
And I'm going to drink those 96 quite a bit of beings, and I'm going to enjoy them. And you know what? Breaking news in the middle of Saving Private Ryan. I'm back on the Pepsi Max, and I've been back on it. We'll get to that later.
That's how I found out, by the way, as well.
But 96 cans of Pepsi were gone.
96! Which, listener, I don't know if it's just me alone here, but the 96 cans implies that this is not a recent... this isn't like the other day this happened. This is a long, ongoing, hidden aspect of this.
We've not really done breaking news in Cinema Swirl before, but look,
but now here we are.
Remind me, we'll do a Pepsi Swirl next episode, and we'll get into this.
Please.
Because we've got to get back to the war. There's more war to talk about.
Did you notice there's a distinct lack of way and when like Nazis get killed in this? They're very much trying to show you that like everyone dying is a life lost and tragic in its own unique way, I guess.
It's very grounded and realistic. I don't think anyone's like, yeehaw, we sure showed them Nazis.
There's no Wilhelm screams when anyone is killed in this.
No.
You know? And Nazis were always doing Wilhelm screams in the 70s and 80s in war movies.
Yeah, there's none of that because that would be too gimmicky. And this is real, man. And Vin Diesel's dead. Already one man down in this quest for one man. So already you're at a net loss, I think.
We're kind of almost at the back foot here immediately. Yeah. Ted Danson's in the house and he's got a Private Ryan that might fit the bill. Out comes Private Ryan. I'm sorry, Nathan Fillion. You're not famous enough to be our Private Ryan. Now go make another season of Castle. Oh, wait, you can't because of your long publicized feud with your co-star and you defended Joss Whedon, you fucking idiot.
Wow.
You just had the easiest fucking career in the palm of your hands.
Oh, I've got some bad defended someone else news later on for one of the members.
Yay! That's what happens when you've a cast this big.
There's, I think, a worse one than that. I didn't think there'd been... Anyway.
Can I just say as well, Nathan Fillion, the only man who politics to have his co-star kicked off their hit series at the end of season 8.
Yeah.
And then it didn't get renewed for season 9 because you weren't enough of a draw, Nathan. You couldn't fill the seats.
And your brothers are dead, mate. Oh, wait, they're not. Wrong one. Fuck you. And Tom Hanks is quite dismissive when this guy's like, wait, what? Oh, no. Are my brothers okay? What's going on? Fuck you.
got a job to do.
Yeah.
They hole up in a church, which is the World War II equivalent of an Airbnb.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't touched on the fact that, like, I know you said Ted Danson is here. It's just Ted Danson's there for a bit, and then he's gone. Like, that's, yeah, fine. I was like, it is Ted Danson. And then I Googled, like, is it Ted Danson? And there were articles that are like, yes, that is Ted Danson.
I must say, there was a point where I didn't want to talk about these types of things, but I feel like it's part of the viewing experience now. And I will say, through no desire of my own, and as shonky as it is, and incomplete as it often is, and infrequent as it is, the existence of X-Ray on Amazon Prime makes it my favourite place to watch movies now for Cinema Swirl, because I get my point of reference.
Yeah.
I can confirm it. It's double-checked on IMDb. I appreciate that.
I'll say it once again, put that much effort into your subtitling options. We were fine here.
They
but,
were out of sync.
Oh, they were.
They were out of sync.
Yeah. It's frustrating when because it's like it's roughly in the right place, but it's
not really
right on it. You know, it's not on the beat.
I restarted my TV for some reason. When like 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh no, something's wrong. Like if I could, I would have blown into my TV like it was a Super Nintendo to try and make it work.
But yeah, they booked a lovely church Airbnb, as you said. They're all kind of reminiscing about old times when they get a chance to just rest and hang out. Well, I mean, Tom Hanks is saying I've lost the lives of 94 men, which is almost as many cans of Pepsi Max as I got to live.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of lost souls coming up very soon.
If I want to visualize that amount of loss of life, it's like 4 24 packs of dead men, you know? Like that's how
a
you
lot.
Can see it.
I know Sam went for the 24 packs there, not for a 6-pack like you or I would visualize. That is the scale at which he was dealing with here. Now, they have a little chat, and I thought this is an interesting talking point, Sam. The trick to falling asleep, and I'm sure this is doubly important if you've had 96 cans of Pepsi Max.
Yes, the trick to falling asleep is to try to stay awake, because the more you try, the more you will just fall asleep. Or was it the other way around? I can't remember.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, but then again, we are in the age of handheld video gaming devices.
Yeah, well, yes. And there's it's the lad Wade talking about his mum and how his mum would, I think, work nights, and the only time
he only had a little brief window, so you want to try and stay up, and that always made him fall asleep. Have you got any tips if you're like, I need to sleep and I'm going to expedite this process?
Not really, no. I'm all right with sleeping these days, despite the caffeinated beverages. I'm pretty good at just getting head on the pillow, gone. It used to be like listening to podcasts and stuff, but now it's just I'm just out.
I mean, I know people. I get messages from people going that they like to listen to this podcast particularly because we have our outro and intro that's always the same, and it's beautifully nicely put together and equalised and edited by our main man Sam over here, who does a fabulous 5-star job all the time. And we don't have ads.
No.
Patreon.com/Cinema Swirl. And I would say if you're struggling to sleep.
I thought you were going to say if you're struggling to make a website, you need Squarespace.
Squarespace. But I agree with you that podcasts are, for me, not a great way to get off to sleep.
No.
Mainly because if I think about podcasts, I'm thinking about work I have to do with my podcast, which probably isn't a great. It's like, think about your job, and that's probably not a great way to fall off. But I do like being read to. Joe has read me many a small novella, which I've caught around 70% of because I fall asleep. Still not entirely sure what happened at the end of being there, but I'm pretty sure it's all going to work out pretty good for Mr. Chauncey Gardner.
Actually, being read to or reading is pretty. That'll do you.
Particularly if it's a really shit, boring old book. Not saying that about being there. Saying that about being there.
But this lad's talking about how, he had that slim window to speak to his mum, and sometimes he'd pretend to be asleep. He'd kind of be almost resentful and like not give her the opportunity to talk to him. And now, when he's at war, he's kind of regretting that and feeling sad about that and wondering why he ever did that. And it's particularly poignant and sad.
True what they say. It's true what they say. War does change people.
Yeah. Ring your mum, guys. Come on.
Ring your mum, particularly when you're at war.
There's a big pool. There's a bet on who's going to get some information about what Tom Hanks's job was pre-war. That's building up in the background. The money's building up.
As well as he has shaky hands.
Yes.
He's got the shakes.
Yeah, he has that from like the first scene, doesn't he? You see a little bit of his hands.
And it gets
shaking.
progressively worse as the movie progresses. Following morning, they're marching through all the German prisoners of war, and I thought they were just going to shoot them all, seeing as that's what they've been doing so far with prisoners. Instead, the Jewish guy is just pointing at his Star of David going, Juden. Huh? How do you like that, you piece of fucking shit, huh? You love to
like
see
that.
it. That's good.
Yeah. that
If he did that and then they got shot, that would have been like, whoa, man,
Whoa.
you're really nailing it there.
They're still trying to find Ryan. They're in like another group of lads. They're going through dog tags, which is what you take off when soldiers died, trying to find Ryan's name, and they're doing it in front of all the other lot, and it seems a bit disrespectful. Just like, who's this fucking dickhead?
They're not treating them like dog tags. They're treating them like pogs. That's what they're doing here, and that is disrespectful to the would-be war dead, as well as the war dead.
I'm now not sure whether I just said it then, but like in my notes, I've written dog tags down as dog legs. I don't know why. Like there's two references to dog legs, and they're flipping through dog legs. Dog tags.
I like that they have exhausted all credible options.
Ryan!
So now they're like, oh, Ryan! Mario! You know, this Luigi's Mansion, man. That's how you're going to find him. And it works pretty much immediately.
It's like, oh, my friend knows Private Ryan. And then he comes and right now, for a very serious film, there's a lad here whose hearing is bad because he had a grenade blow up next to his head. And Tom Hanks is trying to be like, do you know Private Ryan? And he's like, who? What? I can't hear so good.
I don't hear so good. Private Ryan.
And it's, you know what? A bit of fun, a bit of levity.
I mean, if I was to be wounded in war, I would hope at least it should give some of the officers a bit of jest.
Yeah,
There's a crack with it, you know?
Exactly. And so they now know where Ryan's supposed to be. There's a bridge that they're he describes it as babysitting, but they've got to guard a bridge. So they know that that's their next waypoint. They got to go
Bridge over the River Ryan. It's their next objective marker, a.k.a. a hot lead.
Yeah.
And on the way, they decide to take an overtly dangerous diversion because they're like, oh, look. And I mean, look, we've all been there. You're playing The Witcher or whatever, you see a really scary monster, you go, I'm going to go fucking womp that shit. And that's the same. He's got eyes bigger than his command's stomach, I believe, has old Captain Tom Hanks. Captain Tom Hanks, not
Captain Tom.
I don't want to disgrace this interview by invoking the embattled, dead, controversial Captain Tom more.
No. Now, Tom Hanks is the one who's pushing for this neutralizing a gun nest. The men are all like, nah, mate.
And he's like, but look, it's a gun nest. It'll just spawn more Nazis. We have to take it out.
One of them says, sir, I don't have a good feeling about this one. And Tom Hanks says, when was the last time you felt good about anything? Which, I mean, that's... In time of war, can't really argue with that. And so,
anyone who's feeling good about war, the wrong-uns.
Yeah. Now, Upham, the lads with the languages, he can't do any of the war. So he's just kind of hanging out at the...
He's not got his hours in, like, he's not got his sheets signed off.
At one point, I expected him to be like, Mom says you've got to play a 2-player game. Because it's just like he's left out of, like, war. He just has to sit in the back and, like, hold the ammo.
I mean, he likes to watch Crash Bandicoot, but he can't really do much. I think he's figured out that the second controller plugged in doesn't do anything. No, you're not controlling the mask. You're not.
No. And so
that.
We're kind of seeing it from his perspective that there just booms and bangs and smoke and you don't really know what's going on. And it turns out that Wade, the lad who was talking about his mum, has been shot.
He's the medic.
He's the fucking medic. It's fucked when your medic's dying.
That's like if you ate the chef. That's ridiculous.
And I thought his performance was fantastic. He's crying out for his mum in the end, and he goes, and it's very, very sad. And they've gone through this thing that they thought was unnecessary, and another one of them has died. And I thought the performance was so good that I looked up the actor, and
Sam
found this little bit on Wikipedia.
Did you type the word controversy in after his name?
No, I just scrolled down. In 2023, Ribisi wrote a letter to the court seeking leniency for Danny Masterson after Masterson was convicted of raping 2 women. So it was a real sudden whiplash feeling there from, wow, this guy's performance is incredible, to...
Isn't that funny as well that this lad who's basically a no-name thinks that after Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis sent their letters in defending the monster, that his one might be the tipping point? fucking moron.
God, yeah. So I'm glad he's dead. I'm not.
I'll tell you though, I did pick up some tips for the war here from his character. A couple of tips going on. Number one, looking through the war on a scope from a safe distance. That sounds like my kind of war. I could do that probably, you know, kind of like a documentary maker, except I don't have to actually collate or edit any of the footage.
Yep.
Also, as well, if you're dying and you're the medic and you're like, I need more morphine, and they're all like, and he's like,
You can be like, yeah, no, it's fine.
morphine. Yeah, and I'd be like, no, I need loads of morphine, and I need all your corned beef rations as well, because I've lost too much of my own meat, and I need to replace it with yours.
Can you chip some beef for me, please? I'm dying.
Please rehydrate this ration for me.
His beef gets real chipped with morphine. Like he's probably ultimately getting morphine to death. Hopefully, you know, is what you're kind of thinking there. He's really
in terms
morphine.
of how you can die in the war.
Yeah,
not a bad way to go, is it?
One of the best ones.
Move over, being shot artistically underwater. Morphine overdose now takes the lead in the World War II death game.
Hooray! Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more lists of
And guys, let us know how you'd like to die in any World War II scenarios using the hashtag CinemaSwirlWarDogs.
Yes. So, after all of this booming and banging and Wade dying, they've got a German soldier, and he's surrendering, but they want to fucking kill him anyway. They're pissed off. They're angry.
And they've got a taste for it at this point as well. They've done it loads.
And look who's fucking piping up his little up and being like, no, guys, that's not the rules of war. That's not how war works. I want to give the German soldier water. While he's digging a grave. But they're not having it. They want to kill this guy.
Look, I saw it from their perspective here. Look,
Yeah.
they're all a bit shook. The nerves were a bit jangled here. They just needed to murder one POW to steady the nerves.
Yeah.
Just let me kill one, Captain Tom, as a straightener. I'll be okay after I kill this one.
Stop calling him
have you
Captain Tom.
Has there ever been a word that is entirely only associated with alcoholics, like the word straightener? Maybe cocaine addicts.
Yeah.
Maybe them too.
And Captain Tom, he's straight up just having a little cry. Like, he's the one who pushed them to do this, and now...
He's shook.
Oh,
and the
God.
dude's like, come on, don't kill me, guys. I'm America. Cool beans.
Fancy schmancy, Betty Boop, what a dish. I mean, they start singing the national anthem but doing it wrong and repeating like it's like really weird and sad.
It was kind of weird and sad, but also like, you know, impressive. Kind of like when I was in Tunisia and that guy thought I was English and started singing English, fish and chips, FA Cup and Georgie Best. And I'm like, oh, what are you selling? He's like, what? Sorry, I don't speak English. I just know my little bit there. Like.
Oh, and then he started saying fuck Hitler, didn't he, that guy in Tunisia? No,
He did.
This guy starts saying fuck Hitler. He says he's sorry about Wade and he's surrendering, but they're still like, we want to fucking kill this piece of shit. Tom Hanks listens to Upham,
Voice of reason.
puts a blindfold on this guy, says, walk over there, mate, and we'll run and hide, and fair's fair.
Ultimate stag do prank. Blindfold you, make you walk across the battlefield.
Yeah.
They've done you there, mate. You stagged you good and proper.
At least pull his trousers down before you make him and the boys are like pissed off to the point where there's like a
Insubordination.
yeah. There's like a
Which is like insubordination is like landlocked mutiny. Essentially, it's very bad. It's poisonous in any outfit.
Yeah.
And guns are revealed. And well, there's only one way out of this: break the glass in case of emergency. Captain Tom gives us his backstory.
Yes.
See, what I wanted to do was set up a charitable foundation in my name, and that money was misappropriated and resting in my account. What I wanted to be was to be the first corpse that could live in a sauna for the rest of I want to be buried there. It was a mausoleum cum spa. It's all legitimate. It's all accounted for.
Tom Hanks' character was a school teacher back before.
He
He breaks the tension by being like, I was a teacher, and now I'm worried my wife won't even recognize the man I am when I get home because of all the war stuff.
It's a brave move to like temper a hot-headed situation with sadness and ennui, but he pulled it off.
It works, yeah. There's another scenario where they hear him say that and like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then they, shoot each other. Yeah, but
He was turning into a Nazi.
he got bit.
School teacher, that's Nazi talk.
But they've got camaraderie, these lads. They're together. Right, on to the next waypoint we go.
Another mission coming up. We meet another company, Sam, and
Yes.
this sounds like my kind of company at war. Easy Company, or I would also happily be drafted into Beginner Company or Story Only Company.
Yes, those are the companies I'd want to be involved with. I've not got time
Yes,
to be
please.
trying at war.
Look, if your company has got difficulty sliders, I'm in.
Yes.
Let's go to bloody war. Come on.
Like, really quickly, they found Private Ryan. It's just like,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Private Ryan. Oh, cool. Well, no, they say, are you Private Ryan? And he's like, how did you guess that? And he's just like a kind of chipper young lad, strapping young lad, Matt Damon.
Strapping young Matt Damon, and much like in any given episode of the hit series Elementary, his star power gave away who he really was. You didn't
Yes.
even need to check X-ray to know that this was your Private Ryan in question. Look, got a couple of bits of information for you, Matt. Bam! You're an only child now, soldier. Boom! No more war for you.
You're going home.
Bam! We're all really fucking sour about the situation, so let's get fucking going. 3 minutes.
Yeah. It's like Big Brother, where like Davina's like, you've got
You've been voted out of the
2
war.
minutes to say your goodbyes. I'm coming to get you. And, you know, the crowd are like booing because he's the one who led to them. Yes.
He led to the other eliminations, didn't he?
They can hear a little bit of the booing in the thing, and they're like, were they booing me? No, they're not booing you, love. It's fine. Anyway, right. So,
I love you. You're a star.
yeah, goes out to a chorus of boos. Look, he's got 3 minutes to say his goodbyes, but he's like, I ain't saying my goodbyes. Firstly, I've got a lot of information to deal with here. This is really hard. But also, I'm not abandoning my post. I'm not abandoning these guys in my easy company. And Tom Hanks tries to guilt him and be like, come on, son, we don't want to send your mother another folded flag. And he's like, tell her I was here and I was with the only brothers I have left. And I'm like, fair fucks,
the
mate. That's a good
Band of
reply.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Streaming on HBO Max now unless they get rid of it.
Yes.
So basically, they've strong-armed Captain Tom into doing the DLC mission because this isn't just any bridge. This is a war-bearing bridge. You pull this down, the war's over. No more France for you, allies.
Yes. No, and no, Tom Hanks, it's not Bridge of Spies, it's Bridge of just Germans. It's just
German.
Just
German bridge.
German bridge.
Oh, and they say the title of the movie. Yeah.
Someday we might decide that Hot Tub Time Machine was the one decent thing we managed to pull out of this whole shitty mess, is what they say there, isn't it? That's what they say in the film.
I've had it. I'm sick and tired of saving Private Ryan on this motherfucking Normandy. And then Jimmy Fallon's like, yes!
Hey.
Movies are back.
Is Jimmy Fallon in Band of Brothers, by the way? Yeah, he is, isn't
Yes.
he? Yeah,
Yes, he is.
I've still not seen it, but I've listened to a podcast about it. Right.
That's so weird.
I know it's weird, all right? I know it's weird.
But you know, actually, no, because I know there's people listening to this who don't watch the movie, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's normal.
It's fine. It's
It
good.
is, and it's even more normal on the Patreon page.
And you know what, listeners at home? Go to sleep. It's fine. Just
Go to
close your eyes.
sleep.
Go to sleep.
We're making bombs for war.
It's the final showdown with those fucking Nazi pieces of shit. And they're bringing Ryan's easy company on side, and we're getting ready for an assault. Upham, you grab the ammo, mate. You're the ammo guy, and you're going to be running around with ammo.
Sam, I'll tell you what, I don't care if it's Rocky Balboa getting ready and choosing all the drugs to take so he can do the boxing match. Hey, give me some of the human growth hormone. It's that, or if it's people setting up traps like in Home Alone or here. I like watching people get prepared for the final act of the movie. I love it. I love it so much. It's the best. And they're like, they've got sticky bombs. They craft stuff like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And they take their positions and they click yes to confirm, and then the tanks come. It's the ultimate tower defense game. I want to go to World War II.
I don't think you do, but I started to get worried here because we're in the final stretch of the film and the lads are all hanging out after they prepped and they're just talking about like tits, and that's when I'm like, oh you're all
that's
gonna
all-
die.
that's
like,
it.
Yeah.
Same thing happened in Sex Lives of the Potato Man. They all sat around talking about tits and they all got killed by Nazis. And I will say as well, in this Quiet Before the Storm,
Yeah.
they all have to surrender their socks to make sticky bombs,
Mm.
which I can now confirm for all you listening here and the war historians among among you, I am officially declaring World War II the Foot Freaks War.
Hey!
Hey!
Yeah.
They didn't take him out in World War One because of all the disease. So
Yes. But now, if you're watching this film, underneath those boots, just...
it's Quentin Tarantino's favorite war. You're not going to set Inglourious Bastards in World War One where they all got Flanders foot. No one wants that.
No.
They'll fall off when they take off the boots seductively.
But hey, the fun's over, mate. The tanks are coming. There's infantry
A whole
coming.
selection box of Nazis are coming.
My God. I do want to get into the thing where Private Ryan is talking to Tom Hanks about his brothers, and he's like, there was an ugly girl and she got knocked out and then the lamp set on. I'm like, okay. Like,
I'm like calling the airstrikers. Mama Ryan ain't gonna like what her baby boy turned out like. She's gonna be upset.
it's very, in the way that the scene at the start was
Yes.
brutally grim, this is like, it's like deeply tense. Like, I'm so...
Very nicely bookended.
Yeah.
You feel, even though I would say that any war movie always is going to struggle a little bit from the kind of slightly impersonal nature of all the guys dressed the same, everyone kind of talking the same. You know, they're all very similar cut type of characters. And yeah, even if you don't know the intricacies of every single person in the scene, there's a lot of people you followed through, like the sniper and whatnot. Like, they managed to make this be both bombastic, huge, massive scale, but also you're worried individually in every little bit it cuts to about the one person that's in that situation.
Yeah.
And it, I don't know for you, but for me, it never overwhelmed.
No.
And this scene goes on a good stretch. I thought, you know, I let it wash over me. I thought it was spectacular. And I think fuck anyone who says that this movie is only the first action sequence, because this one at the end is just as spectacular for different reasons.
Yes, because we get people blown up with sticky bombs. We get...
Yes!
Yeah, which is great.
Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, I don't know if this is my lost bias, but I really honed in on Upham being a good boy running around with all of his ammo. I mean, he does have a bit of a struggle later on, but like he's...
Stuck foot syndrome, Sam. You just know which way to go.
Yeah.
He accomplishes nothing.
It's very gritty and sad and scary. Our sniper boy... presumably Joe's favourite. He's doing all of his, like, God, give me strength to kill all these fucking Nazis. But he does a lot, but then a tank fires its... What's the tank? Tank cannon? Tank...
Shell. Oh, sorry. I mean, that's the cannon,
Tank cannon? It's a shell out of a cannon.
Tank's nose, the tank snout.
He gets...
The tank's trunk.
Our sniper gets...
That's my elephant noise.
He gets squirted by a tank.
And he was praying to the wrong god. You prayed to the god of tanks in that situation, not God, fool.
Now, the Jewish guy gets into a physical fight with a German, and there's like fucking biting and blood.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? This is my biggest misconception about war, okay?
Yeah.
Because I always thought if it was war and you're all shooting each other from really far away or operating drones or pressing buttons or whatever it is, if it actually came down to it, the guys there like, I've got no weapons.
Yeah,
we'd both be like, come on. Like, yeah.
No.
You know, come on. But they're literally like, you know, just proper... Oh boy, there's a lot of biting in this fighting.
Yeah, biting, fighting. A knife comes out, and it's not like the dramatic stab. It's like the knife just goes in slowly to, I think Mellish is the guy, and he's just slowly stabbed to death, and it's horrible.
And Upham is a kind of like cowering, he doesn't want to go up the stairs, you know, and the Nazi, when he walks down, he just lets him be. He just walks by him.
Yeah.
He's like, you know.
This dweeb ain't a threat.
Yeah. What's he going to do? Throw bullets at me? I don't think so.
And so they're at the point where it's like, fuck it, just blow up this fucking bridge. Let's do it. Let's go to the end point of the mission here.
Everyone's being shot. Tom Sizemore is shot. Everyone's dying. And look, if you're at war, big red flag. If it all goes into slow motion, your goose is cooked.
Yes. And Tom Hanks, he's fully back into slow motion here. Now, the German who was blindfolded, had his trousers pulled down, and they all went, way. He's back, and he's worse than ever.
With a vengeance. Bam, bam, bam.
And he shoots Tom Hanks. He's got him. He's shot him.
And in a last-ditch effort to raise Old Glory, that big old tank, a few of the tanks have been blown up by the sticky bombs and the missile launchers, etc. And Tom Hanks is just like, you son of a bitch. And he's like, starts shooting it drunkenly with a handgun.
Yeah.
Now me, I'd be conserving my ammo so anyone who's looting the bodies afterwards would get a nice little surprise. Not this fucking empty canister bullshit.
Yeah.
But he
Selfish.
chips away, doesn't he? And then the tank blows up. So there's a moment where you think persistence
Fucking
pays
hell.
off in this game.
Yeah.
Before you look up and say, oh, it's the blooming airstrikes. And who was fixing those planes? None other than Sam Chaplin's grandpappy. That's right.
Yeah.
He saved Private Ryan.
Thank you on behalf.
Could have very
of my
easily
grandfather.
accidentally killed Private Ryan by dropping all them bombs.
Sure,
it's
but
all
that's
right.
the, you got to roll the dice sometimes. And so Tom Hanks very much on the way out. But before that, because the airstrikes are coming in, the Germans are on the back foot. Upham, of all people, the language coward. He's here with a gun pointing at the Germans, and they're all like, oh, I surrender. And Steamboat Willie is the name that they have in the credits for this guy. The German guy who they released and who Upham kind of made friends with, was being nice to, he recognises him and he's like, oh, Upham. And Upham shoots the shit out of that guy. One shot, dead. He kills him. He's been changed by war.
War!
He's fucking war. He's now war boy.
And he's forgotten all the German and French as well. His war's changed him completely.
Yeah.
He can only kill now.
And he just keeps going around shouting like, I want chips. Do you do chips? Is what he keeps saying to everyone. And he just doesn't even bother trying to say it.
They're like, well, we don't know what they are.
And Tom Hanks' dying words are to, not to any of his company, but to Private Ryan. And he's saying, earn this. Earn it. And he's talking about the sacrifice that everyone has made for him. And he's saying, basically, when you go about your life,
No pressure or anything.
no pressure. That's a lot to give to someone, on your way out. But
I think we've had this chat before, but dying words invariably are loaded words, aren't they?
Yeah.
Bit much.
Yeah, it's always going to have weight to it if you're dying before you've said it, even if it's something innocuous,
And then we cut back to the present and we find out that Private Ryan was Joe Biden all along.
Yeah, he was the codger.
Yeah,
And
he was the old codger.
He's at the grave of Tom Hanks looking down. And it was genuinely emotional when he's like, every day I think about what you said to me on that bridge. I hope I've earned.
You son of a bitch, why did you say this?
Why have you done that to me? I brought my family here.
Yeah, you know what I would have said, Sam? I would have said, have a good one. that would have been me,
Yeah.
Have a good one. Easy. Or cheers.
Yeah. Cheers is good, actually. You can't get better than cheers. There's less words with cheers.
It's as vague and positive as you can be. That's why it's on every email in the UK and Ireland.
Cheers. But he doesn't say that. It's earn it. Earn this. And, we get Private
Imagine
Ryan.
you signed off your emails with earn this.
I might try it on my next work email.
try that,
No
like.
context. No, just
Earn this.
earn this, Sam. And it's just that's the end. That's the end. He's like, I hope I've earned what you all did for me. The end of Saving
The
Private Ryan.
end.
And then
Sam.
they have the outtakes as the credits. They have like the blooper reel.
Ted Danson being funny on set, the consummate funny man that he is. They brought him on just to lighten the mood a little bit. I feel like the movie has stood the test. I've not seen it in probably around 10 or so years. I feel it's really stood the test of time. Considering that it does a lot of, kind of CG trickery and stuff like that. There's lots of really cool videos about it being made, all of those fabulous sweeping shots with so many people involved. That was literally just same people used kind of over and over. But it looks really, really good still. I think the action scenes are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like there's great performances all around. It's a heavy old movie, but I feel like it is one of those ones where it's like, it's, an obvious Hollywood blockbuster Oscar movie or whatever, but like, nothing wrong with that. It's good. It's
good.
damn good.
Good. It's good, man. That's and you know what? This is the thing that is always a ringing endorsement. It was 3 hours. Didn't feel overly long.
No.
It was fine.
Not at all.
No.
No, I
Like,
think when you have a very, like the first 20 minutes and the last 30 minutes of it felt like they really swept you up off your feet and you were invested. It was hard to actually take notes during parts of this movie because I got drawn in with the laser beams.
Weirdly, structurally, it's not that far away from 2001: A Space Odyssey. If I think about like, You know, it hits you with this thing
You
at
get
the start.
owled at the end.
Hits you with that at the end, and there's a big talky bit in the middle.
And there's a codger at the end.
Yeah, it ends on a codger.
Always end on a codger, that's what I say.
Yeah, I was engaged the whole time. I was sad when I needed to be sad. I was kind of just uneasy and kind of shocked. But it's very, very gritty and real. And I think like war movies since this have taken that on and done a lot of that.
Yeah.
And maybe done it, I don't know, better or worse, whatever. But like this is... I felt this must have been something different at the time for this to be such a big deal.
Yeah. It's no Shakespeare in Love, mind, but I feel like one of the biggest things you could level against a movie like this is that you wouldn't always necessarily be in the mood to watch it.
No.
And I'm not sure if when you watched it has affected your enjoyment of it or not. This is a Sunday afternoon movie, and we did not watch this on a Sunday afternoon.
No, I watched it on a Wednesday night. It's not like a have your tea and watch a movie film, sure, but I'm glad I've watched it. That's also another ring endorsement of this. Like, I'm glad that I have seen Saving Private Ryan. I think, it's it's like the AI thing.
You learned something.
Yeah, it's important. It feels important to have seen it, and I've seen it, and I thought it was pretty good. I don't think there's any bad performances in it.
Is there anything that you didn't enjoy about the movie? Anything that was, I'm zoning in on a star wipe rating here now, so I'm interested to know if there is anything that is going to impact that negatively.
I mean, it's directed really well. It looks great. The performances are great. It's sad, but it's got heart. There's even little bits where it's slightly funny.
A little bit of levity here and there. Very well
levity.
done. Nicely woven in.
Structurally, I think it works really nicely. The idea of it's just a flashy start and then boring end is bollocks. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I had a good time with it. I had an intense time with it. But
intense time. Yeah. Well, at this most intense moment at the end of the episode, then, the only thing left to do is ask you what your star wipe rating is for Saving Private Ryan.
I'm going to give Saving Private Ryan as many star wipes as there were Ryan brothers. 4 star wipes. I've given it 4 star wipes.
4 star wipes. You heard it here first. Medic!
Oh, thanks for listening to another episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, edited by me, Sam, and I also did the music. If you want to support the show, then patreon.com/Cinema Swirl is the way to go. If you want to follow us on the socials, we're at Cinema Swirl on Twitter and facebook.com/Cinema Swirl on Facebook, which is where our votes for episodes take place. If you've got questions, queries, comments, or anything else for the mailbag, then send it on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Please do keep recommending the show to your friends if you think they'll like it, or even if you don't think they'll like it, just recommend it anyway. All right, we'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.
And you know what?